We're recording, and I'm going to share my screen. Can you hear me, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Clear, very clearly.
Yay! Alrighty. So now you should be able to see our lesson for today. We're talking about giving advice.
Yep.
So in this lesson, first we're going to look at a dialogue, and then we're going to discuss some grammar and vocabulary points, and hopefully you can take these and use it in your daily life, and then we'll finish with homework. Okay, so here's our dialogue. Let me make it so it fits the whole screen.
Yep.
Can you see clearly?
Yep.
All right, so I'm going to give you 1 minute and go ahead and read through the dialogue. If you have any questions, just ask.
Yep.
All right, so that's 1 minute past. Do you have any questions?
I know the overall situation, but the broad words, the usual, I know so, trust me, anything. So because of the words, I don't know the specific sentence meaning.
Okay.
That is the problem.
All right, okay, so we're going to go over these words in bold later. I didn't expect you to know them right now, so that's not a problem at all.
Yeah.
As long as you understand generally what's happening, that's what we're looking for. Okay, so let's go through this dialogue. I'll start as Layla, and you'll be Monica. Okay. Thanks for meeting with me during your lunch hour. I appreciate it.
No problem. I'm happy to help. What's going on?
Oh, you know, the usual. Should I take this new job, or do I stick with my current one?
Well, I think it's time for a change, don't you? They pay you late and you are unhappy.
Do you really think so?
I know so, and I've been listening to you complain for over a year now. Trust me, take the job. What do you have to lose?
All right, perfect. So I heard some really great things. I really liked your pronunciation and the tone when you said, I know so. So we'll talk about this a bit more later, but I know so is a common response when somebody is asking you, do you think so? And you really want to tell them, yes, absolutely, I know so. I don't just think. So the tone here was really good because it really gets that meaning across. Okay, let's switch. You be Layla and I will be Monica.
Thanks for meeting with me during your lunch hour. I appreciate it.
No problem. I'm happy to help. What's going on?
Oh, you know, the usual. Should I take this new job or do I stick with my current one?
Well, I think it's time for a change, don't you? They pay you late and you are unhappy.
Do you really think so?
I know so. And I've been listening to you complain for over a year now. Trust me. Take the job. What do you have to lose? Okay, so after reading through, do you have any questions?
No, now after the reading, talking with you, I already understand the sentence or situation.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Yay!
Yeah.
All right, so just for a quick check, can you explain to me what this situation is here and what these two girls are talking about?
First of all, Laila wants to take a new job, not the current one. So, and Monica say to Laila, you have to, or you should to change your job or new things. Yeah. So giving the advice to Monica. Yeah.
And so with this dialogue, with how these two women are talking, can you tell anything about their relationship? Did they just meet, or do you think they've been friends for a while?
The friendship is very good. It's for me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Okay, let's move on and look at some language notes. Let me make the screen bigger so you can read a little better.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so this very first vocab word in bold, the usual. This is just a really casual way of saying nothing new is happening or the same as before. So in this dialogue, when Monica asks Layla what's going on, she genuinely wants to know what's happening. And Layla says, oh, you know, the usual, nothing new. But this exchange, what's going on, the usual, is also used as a really standard greeting. So a lot of the times in the US, if somebody asks you, how are you, or what's going on, they don't actually want to know. And so it's just a way of saying hello. So a good response to this is also the usual. Alrighty.
Can I change the usual word to daily routine? Because I always say, who say to me, hey, Jason, what's going on? And I say, yeah, I don't know, it's daily routine all day. I answer the...
Yeah, so you can say my daily routine, but my daily routine makes sense, but it's not something we say normally. So instead of saying my daily routine, you can say the same or the usual, or I haven't done anything today. Another really common response to what's happening is just say nothing much.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so there's the usual. And then moving on, in formal conversation, when you're giving advice, we usually use these words that are in italics: ought to, should, or could. And these three words can be used pretty much the same way. So if somebody asked me, what should I do about my job? I could say, well, you ought to look for a new job if this one makes you unhappy. You should look for a new job if this one makes you unhappy. Ought to and should mean the same exact thing, but ought to is a little more formal. Could can be used the same way, but changes the meaning a little bit. So I could say, you could get a new job, but when I use could, it doesn't mean I think you should. It means it's a possibility for you to consider. Yeah. So could is a little softer than ought to or should. And this final one, if I were you, the way that we use this is we would say, if I were you, I would look for a new job. And it's literally saying, if I were in your position, this is what I would do. All right, so let's practice making some sentences out of these. Let's do ought to or should first. You can choose either one. But the question I have for you is, I'm really hungry, but I don't want to make dinner.
I think if I were you, I will eat some hamburger.
Yeah, perfect. So that was a good if I were you. So let's try using ought to or should now.
Ought to. I think you ought to go to Pizza More.
Yes, I love pizza.
Yeah.
Okay. And then finally, let's practice with could.
Could. I think you could just take some food, or pizza or hamburger, anything.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So these modals is what we call them, these types of words or phrases. These are typically used in very formal situations. So if my boss at the company asked me a question and he was asking for my advice, I would usually use these words. And the reason why these are more formal is because these words give very direct advice and say very directly what you're thinking. But in informal conversation, we're usually not so direct. So when we're just speaking with friends, we usually use words like I think that, I feel that, or in my opinion. These words don't tell your friend what to do. They don't say, you should do this. They just say, well, I think that this is the best option. So I think that, I feel that, in my opinion, are all the exact same meaning. So you can switch them out. So I could say, well, I think if you're unhappy with your job, then you can look for a new one. Or I feel that if you're unhappy with your job, then you can look for a new one. In my opinion, if you're blah, 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 blah. Okay, so when we're practicing these, why don't you just go ahead and pick one of these phrases? And let's go with our previous example. I'm hungry, but I don't want to cook dinner. So choose one and give me some advice.
I fear that you are not good at cook, so how about using your delivery system in your iPhone?
Ooh, good idea. Good idea. All right, so that was perfect. And then another thing I was going to bring up that you just helped me with is if you want to give some advice that you know is going to hurt their feelings a little bit. You're not a very good cook. You can soften it by saying, I think you're not a very good cook. So it sounds a little softer when you're with friends.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on, these words, I know so and trust me. So these are really common phrases when you're giving advice. I know so, we talked a little bit earlier, but it really tells them that you really believe this, you're certain about it. And so it's often used when somebody says, do you think so? You say, I know so. Okay, so let's practice with I know so a little bit. And so I could say, do you really think I'm not a good cook?
I know so. Well, that is not a good way.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It might be a little bit rude, but it's the correct language, so it's fine. All right, so that is a good use of I know so. And then for trust me, this is if somebody's asking you, again, what you think. So if I were to say something like, do you really think that I should order delivery? You could say, trust me, you're not a very good cook, and ordering delivery would save you a lot of time. So this trust me and I know so are used to convince somebody more of your own opinion. So let's practice with trust me a little bit. Let's go with a new question this time. So I really am looking for a new TV show to watch. I've been really bored recently and I want to watch a new show. Do you have any recommendations?
Have you ever heard about the Korean drama, The Secret Forest?
I have not. Is it good?
Trust me, it was perfect.
Great, yes, that was an awesome use. All right, perfect. All right, so let's move on to our last little language note here. So there were a couple of what we call command forms. Take the job, trust me, go for it. Literally, these are telling somebody to do something. Depending on the tone of your voice when you say it, it can sound very harsh or it can sound very encouraging. For example, take the job. If I was, for example, if I was talking to my younger sister and she said, I really don't know if I should take this job. And I am tired of driving her around. I want her to take the job. I can say, take the job. With that tone of voice, I'm giving her a command. I'm telling her what to do. But these forms can also be used to gently persuade somebody. So if I was talking with my friend and they said, I really don't know about this job, I could say, take the job. What's the worst that can happen? in this instance, the tone of my voice is lighter, and I am like very softly giving them some advice. I'm not telling them what to do, even though the words say I'm telling them what to do. I'm just saying, well, just take the job and see what happens. So let's try with some of these. So we already did trust me. Let's go with take the job. So why don't you try the two forms? First, as a command, and second, as a gentle persuasion.
First is, my parents always say to me, take the job.
Right. Right.
There's the first situation, and second is, my friend always 고민하다. My friend always have a problem about her or his job, so he want to advise to me. So I said him, I think you should take another job. Yeah.
Perfect.
Take the job. Yeah.
Let's talk about go for it. So literally, go for it means do it, try it. So I could say, if somebody said, we're at a new restaurant, and they say, well, those noodles look really good, but I'm not sure if I like them. I could say, go for it, just try it. Or as another example, a more serious example with the job, if somebody said, well, I don't know if I should quit my job, but I'm really unhappy, but I don't know if I can get another job. I would say, well, just go for it. If it's making you unhappy, I'm sure you'll find another job. So why don't you try to use go for it to encourage me to do something? So I can say, sorry, I forgot to give you a situation. All right, so so I am in school and I'm about to take a really difficult exam, but I'm thinking about telling my professor I got sick because I'm too nervous to take the exam.
Very hard situation. But go for it.
All right. So usually when you say go for it, you give a little bit more information after. So
go for it. That professor is very kind and is will be maybe.
All right. Don't skip exams by being sick.
Yeah.
It's just an example. All right. Perfect. So let's move on to some grammar points. Let me make this a little smaller. So this grammar point is a little bit of a difficult concept, but let's talk about it a little bit. So in English, we have two kinds of or. We call them inclusive or exclusive or. We're going to talk about exclusive or first. So the word or can be used to choose between two different options. You can only have one, and you cannot have both. This is when we would use an exclusive or. So here's an example. Do you prefer coffee or tea? You have to pick one. So you can say, I prefer coffee or I prefer tea, but you can't prefer both. You have to like one more than the other. Or if I'm giving you two options, I say, we can go to Starbucks or McDonald's. We can't go to both. This is an exclusive or, because you're excluding one choice. But it can also be used to discuss two choices at the same time. In this case, you can pick both choices, or one choice, or neither choice. And this is the inclusive or. It includes both options. So for example, if you're at Starbucks and you order a coffee, they might ask you, would you like cream or sugar? They're not asking you to pick between cream and sugar. They're asking you, would you like either of these? So you could say, yes, please, I would like cream and sugar. Or, no, thank you, I don't like cream or sugar. You could also say, I would like just the cream, please. Here's another example. Would you like a drink or a pastry? You can say, I would like a drink, please, but no pastry. But you can also pick both options. They're not asking you to pick between one. So there's a bit of a difference in the tone that we say these as well. So here we can say, we can go to Starbucks or McDonald's. Notice how the tone of my voice falls. However, here, when I was asking, would you like a drink or a pastry? The tone of my voice rises. So with exclusive, the tone falls. With inclusive, the tone rises. So why don't you practice asking these questions? You can just read from here and ask, but with the rising or falling tone of your voice.
Example, I say, here or to go.
Yes, perfect.
And here or to go, we have to choose one.
Yes. So here or to go. The way that we would ask it, I heard you ask here or to go.
Here
with
to
the
go.
rising tone. But with the rising tone, it might be indicating both choices. With here or to go, logically we know it can only be one choice. But for example, if you were to ask coffee or tea, they might think, oh, well, both. But if we're doing an exclusive, the tone falls. So here or to go, or coffee or tea. Notice how the tone falls. So try saying once again with the tone of your voice going down.
In inclusive situation, tone down or tone up?
In exclusive, tone down.
Yeah. So do you prefer iced coffee or hot coffee?
So again, exclusive, the tone goes down. So when you're asking somebody, do you prefer, they have to pick one or the other, right? So I could say, do you prefer iced coffee or hot coffee? Tone goes.
Coffee.
Yes. Yeah. So try one more time with the exclusive and the falling tone.
The same, here or to go.
Perfect. Yes, exactly right. So let's practice now with the inclusive or and the rising tone.
Yeah. If I ordered some hamburgers and the employee say, would you like cabbage or pickle?
Yes, perfect. Would you like cabbage or pickle?
Yeah.
And you can have both or none or one.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. So this question that this cute little character is asking at the bottom, are you better at reading English or speaking English? Is this an exclusive or an inclusive or?
Well,
Are you better at reading English or speaking English?
Yeah.
So is
this... Yeah. Okay. Yes, both of them.
Both of them? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So in this example, this was technically an exclusive. I was expecting you for you to pick one or the other. But sometimes when people do ask you exclusive or questions, the tone of their voice might indicate that it's an exclusive question, but the actual answer might be, well, I actually am about the same. All right. Okay, so let's do one more practice, and I'm going to ask you an or question, and you tell me, is it exclusive or inclusive?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you rather take the train or ride the subway to go to school?
Exclusive.
Perfect. Yeah. That is an exclusive. Alrighty. So let's take a quick look at the homework, and then we'll do a little cultural discussion. Can you help me? I'm not sure whether I should get a part-time job while I'm at school. So there are a lot of different reasons why I might get a part-time job. I want the money. Having money is really nice. And it might give me a chance to meet some more friends. But if I do take a part-time job, even though I'm getting money, I might not have enough time to study for school. So your homework is just to write a short essay about what you think I should do, and go ahead and try and use some of these command forms, as well as these giving advice modals that we talked about. because it's your homework, I'll let you choose if you want to use the formal ones or the informal ones. Do you have any questions about homework?
No.
Okay, perfect.
I think that's very interesting homework to me.
All right, so this actually leads into our culture discussion. So in the US, it's really, really common for high school students to get a part-time job. But I noticed when I came here, not as many high school kids were working part-time jobs, and most of the people I see in convenience stores are adults. So I wanted to ask you about the culture around getting a part-time job in Korea.
Part-time job? The culture in Korea? Wait a minute. The Korean these days the new generations think the part-time job is very skillful or useful to him or her, but the parents, the old generation, do not think, because the Korean parents think about my son or my daughter don't need to part-time job because the parents have to pay the money to my son or daughter. So that's the kind of different thing in US to Korea. So parents always, hey, do not take the job. But the new generation, hey, why? I want to my money. I want to buy my more clothes or my hair, change my hair. But parents always say, hey, you have to study. That is the student.
So what's your opinion? Have you ever had a part-time job?
I think take the job.
Take the job.
The students have to take the job, because if not have the job in student, but that students do not study.
I see.
The part-time job and the study is another universe.
So what you're saying is that part-time job doesn't have to impact study.
Yeah, it doesn't have impact.
I think that's a good point. When I was in high school, all of my friends worked a part-time job. And because I didn't have a car, I couldn't work a part-time job like they did. So I would take really small jobs. But in the US, it's really common for parents to be like, as soon as you get a car, as soon as you can drive, why don't you get a job? You need to help out around here. So it's really interesting, I think, seeing that difference in culture. Okay, so we have just a couple minutes left. Do you have anything else you want to ask?
Your lecture is very perfect for me, so I don't have any questions.
Okay, perfect. All right, so then I think that is the end for our class today. Thank you so much for coming.
Yep, thank you, Audrey. Have a nice day.
You too.
Yeah.